Hey guys, it's Mel. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, today I've got a few hours blocked out of my day specifically to do inventory stock take. So I thought while I'm doing it, I'll document the day and I'll show you my exact process, how I'm doing the stock take, how my inventory works for my shelves, how I'm going to be condensing my shelves, and I'll explain the entire process to anyone that wants to know. Now, currently the way my shelves run is in an alphabetical order. So they start at the letter A and it goes A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, and then it moves on to the next shelf, B, B1, B2, B3, B4, B5. Now, once my shelving system got past the letter Z, I had to move into the double digits. So then it started to go double A1, double A2, double A3, double A4, double A5, and I think I'm all the way around to double R around the other side. Now, I haven't really liked having the double alphabet system, and I always thought to myself, what if I get to the end of double Z and then have to go into triple A? I always thought that would be such a nightmare. And hopefully I will not grow bigger than this space of this warehouse, but sometimes you do actually have to be thinking ahead, bigger than what you currently are, because you never know what stage you're going to get to, and you always want an inventory system that's going to be able to continue to grow with you. Now, in this new warehouse, all my bays are running at 6 shelves long, except in this area where they're running at 3 shelves long. And I don't want to push them out any further because I want to be able to keep this walkway here and keep this space free. I really like having enough walkway, and I don't want to put like a shelf on the end here because I like this gap here between where I'm photographing, where my desk is, and the amount of space that I've got to run a trolley here is absolutely perfect. So I really don't want to come out an extra shelf here. So what I've decided to do is change my system from A1 to 5 to A1 to 15. That way, the first row around there is going to be A1 to 15, then B1 to 15, then C1 to 15, D1 to 15. Then I'm going to go here into E1 to 15, and then this next 3 bays is going to become F1 to 15. And then we'll go down here and it will become G1 to 15, H1 to 15, I1 to 15, J1 to 15. And I'm going to put some little a bit like a library has. I'm going to put them here just so I can have little arrows pointing like here, and it'll be like E to F, I to J. So you can see on some of the shelves, I've already got like 2 SKU systems here, so I can work it out. These are old ones. These are from when I moved, and I know this is shelf E. This is what this shelf is actually going to become. It's going to become F6. F7. These stickers aren't so great, they're a little bit peeling off, but I will probably put some tape over them and make sure that they don't come off, and every single shelf will be labelled. Now, when I moved into this warehouse, I started my shelf system there from shelf A, and I left all of these blank, and I've been putting all the new listings down here into these areas. So now what I've got to do is I've got to go over here onto shelf A, the original shelf A, and I want to actually take these books off and move them to a different shelf. Now, the reason being is a lot of the books on this shelf are bundles, and then I've also got some individual books. And it's the same here. I've got individual books and then I've got bundles. What I actually want to do is have all of this area as individual books, and then this aisle down here, I want to have all of this as bundles, and then the next row can follow through into some bundles as well. I think that will be enough for bundles. Possibly, maybe this side will have to go into bundles, but I just need to see where I'm at once I've actually condensed the shelves. So what this means is all the bundles that are over there on shelf A, I want to move them down here onto the first row that is going to become my bundle shelf. And what that means is all the books that are individual on these shelves, because these are kind of got a mixture on this one here, all the books that are individual, I want to move them over there onto A rack. Now, the idea is to condense the shelves while I'm going. I want to be able to fill these shelves up. So there's shelf 1 and shelf 2 here. I want to get as much onto shelf 1, like I've got a gap here for another 2 bundles. So 2 of the bundles here will get moved up here, and then that will condense this shelf, and then I'll be able to move some of the bundles that are over there to over here, and we'll condense it all so the shelf is full again. Okay, so these ones are from EE2, and I've got some individual books here from EE3. So I'm going to take these off while I'm here. I don't want to have mixed shelves anymore. I don't like having them mixed half between bundles, half between individual books. And the thing is, if I've got a whole row of bundles, then if I misplace a bundle and can't find it, it's much easier for me to just come down and look through the one aisle looking for that missing bundle than it is to look through tens of shelves, all these different aisles looking for the bundle that's missing. And it's the same as an individual book. It's easier for me to look through the shelves that are all individual books than to be coming up here looking for a book that's missing in between like the bundles and the single books. And no, I want to keep them all separate. That's why I want this aisle. And this aisle, the majority of it already is bundles. There are some shelves that are mixed, but the majority of this aisle is bundles. And the majority of those aisles is actually individuals. So it makes sense to try and keep this aisle all as bundles and keep those ones all as individual books. Okay, so these first three shelves. Now there's a lot more individual books on this shelf, and then it doesn't look like there's any on the bottom shelf. So I'm going to work off these three shelves, and then I'll come to this shelf, which is all individual books. Right, now I'm just going to push this up right next to the computer so I can check it. Right, now these books have come from EE2 plus EE3, and I'm going to move them over onto A3. Now I'm just going to write this down on paper so I don't get muddled when I'm sitting here at the computer and forget which shelf is where and which is going where. So I'm going to put that there. Okay, so you need to come into your active listings in your Seller Hub, and up here you've got a little search title. So I can search by EE2, and then what's going to happen is it's going to show me down the custom SKU here all my EE2s. So now I'm going to look for all these books here and make sure that I've got them. And if I don't have them here, not the bundles obviously, I'm looking for the individual books. And if I don't see them here on EE2, then I need to individually search the book's name because I need to see if it's actually been meant to be on a different shelf than what it is. Basically, I'm searching for these books to be able to change the SKU from EE2 or EE3 over to A3. Now, I don't want to be changing anything else in the SKU. I don't want to be changing the date that it's listed. I need to know the original month and date that it's been listed. I'm just changing the shelf number, simply. Okay, now if I just refresh this, EE2, all those individual books should have changed, and the only thing that should be left on EE2 now is some bundles, which I'll need to inventory check. So yep, I can't see any individual books here now that are on EE2. So EE2 was actually correct. Well, so far on the individual books anyway, not the bundles. Now I'm going to go move these onto A3. Now I already have some books here on A3. And I'm just going to put them on this trolley because I'm going to go through these ones and I might put these totally onto A2 just to totally re-skew them. I want everything re-skewed basically. Now, somebody suggested I could take a photo and do this. I could take a photo, but sometimes there's really, really thin books in there that like you just can't even see in between the books. So I prefer to take them off and actually look at them rather than take a photos. However, with the bundle ones, I could probably take a photo on some of them. But let's move this. All right. Righto, so nice new stack here going for A3. Now, let's get those other books from shelf EE3, and now let's move them to A3. Right, so in my SKU now, I'm typing in EE3 because these ones were on EE3. We're looking for the individual books here. It's really important that you don't make mistakes with your inventory, because it's just a nightmare if you can't find an item. So always double check the SKU and make sure it's correct. Now at this point, I'm not going through and trying to decide whether or not some of this inventory is old and I want to like get rid of it or anything. I'm just going to re-inventory it all, and I'm just working on like the coupon sale to move everything. And once I've actually done the entire stock take, then that's when I'll start looking at whether or not there's books on the shelves that I actually want to cull. It's too hard to do it all at once. I just want to do it. It'll just take me too long, and I don't have space out there to be like piling up heaps of books where I'm like, oh, maybe I'll bundle this instead of listing it. I'm just going to keep it all listed until the whole system is done. And I think that will be the easiest way for me. Right, let's go put these over, A3. Now these books, they're kind of unusually large. These are actually from Japan. When I went to Japan, I bought these. And they are Japanese illustrated, like, it's not manga, is it? But illustrated books, poster books or whatever, just books, I don't know. They're in Japanese language. I can't read them. They are very nice to look at though. But they're unusually big, so I don't want them to go on that same shelf. What I try and do is keep the books that are unusually big generally down the bottom, on the bottom shelf. I don't like going to the bottom shelf on a regular basis, so I either try and keep bundles down the bottom, or I try and keep unusually large, heavy books as well, so I'm not reaching these big, heavy books down. I can get down and grab them. So there's a shelf on the second row, which will end up being A10. So these are going to go down, and I'm actually going to skew these. Instead of skewing these as A3, I'm going to skew these as A10, and I'm going to start a shelf down the very bottom for unusually big books. Okay, now this one I can't see. So let me just title the name in here, Superworks Collection. Superworks. Right, so this one isn't listed. So what that means is possibly somebody bought this once before and then cancelled the order and didn't pay for it, and it didn't automatically relist. So this one needs to be rephotographed and relisted basically. So I'm going to keep that one aside, and I'm going to go put all these ones. Now, because this shelf EE1 is all bundles and I can very clearly see what's on there, there's no thin books mixed in between or anything, I think I can just take a photo of this shelf, then go to the computer, search for shelf EE1 and check off that all these numbers, or these individual SKU numbers, are actually listed, and make sure I've got everything else. And then I'll be able to condense a couple more up here to make that shelf absolutely full, and then I can start working on this shelf. Okay, and then let's do that. Okay, now I've got one bundle that says it's not listed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this bundle off, and then I'm going to go look into the system for this bundle and see if I can see it, and see if it's like says it's meant to be on another shelf. If it's not on another shelf, then it's just dropped off the eBay system. It's no longer listed. It needs to go into the pile of relisting, basically rephotographing, relisting. So all of these other books here, now they're all good. They've all been changed. They've all gone from EE, they've now changed to O1, because this is going to be shelf O1. So these 4 bundles here, I'm going to go check for shelf EE2, and I'm going to move them up to O1. Okay. So all of these 4 bundles were there. So now they've been updated and they've been moved, and I checked that other bundle that was up there and it's not listed anywhere. So now it has been set into the pile to redo. So now I've got what I might do. These ones here are not Mills and Boon. These ones are Mills and Boon. I wouldn't mind keeping this all Mills and Boon. So what I might do is move these Mills and Boons that are here from EE3. I'm going to move them up to EE2. First thing I need to do is check that these, I'm just going to write these down, 207, 614, 940, and what's this one? Can't see it. 801. Okay, 801. So first of all, I'm going to make sure that those books are all here, and they're gonna stay on this shelf. It's just going to swap from EE2. It's going to go to O2. And these four here, I'm actually going to move them down to this shelf. So we've got 0021. We've got Laurie Lee. I could be taking a photo of this, but anyway, 0020 and 659. Right, so these go to 03, these go to 002. So I also want to move these ones up to this shelf. So I'm going to go 0195, number 1, 907, 342, and 0154. These are going to go from E3 to O2. Okay. Now this big bundle here, number 907, does not exist in the system. It was on shelf EE3. There's no listing for this. I've checked the little name of it, Harlequin. I've checked Harlequin Super Romance. I've checked by the SKU number in the system. I've looked everywhere. It's not there. This makes error number 3, which means there's 3 listings so far that I've found on the shelves that aren't actually listed. Okay, so down on EE5, I've just found this bundle, which is $8.35. It's a bundle of true crime books. I can't find this anywhere in the listings. So again, this is probably another item that has been purchased before and then somebody has cancelled the order. It hasn't been relisted. That's an error, partly on my behalf, partly on eBay's, because it's meant to actually automatically relist and it doesn't. And if I forget to go in there and automatically relist something after it's cancelled, it's just literally forever sits on the shelf. So this looks like it's 8 true crime books that are just sitting here. So good to find this one. Okay, so these 4 shelves here now, these 3 and the very bottom one, I've all skewed, I've rechanged them, they've all been checked, they're all there. I've just got to do this shelf now, which is all the loose books, which I want to move over to the other side. But before I do that, I'm going to make room over the other side and start bringing some of the bundles and putting them onto these. Well, this shelf is full, so I'm going to leave this one for any Mills and Boon, and then any other books over from the A shelf, I'm going to start to bring over here and put them onto the new O3. Right, now thankfully I've got multiple trolleys. Let's go this one first, A1. Okay, A1 is now empty. Let's go move that over to O3. Oh, okay. So what was that? A1. Dead set. I've already made an error. You guys probably picked it up in the video's the moment that I said it. Okay, so the books that I was moving from like EE over to the shelf that was A, the shelf that was A, I was marking it in the system as moving from like EE3 or whatever down to A3, but that isn't actually going to stay as A3. That shelf now becomes E over there. So it's actually moving from double E to E. It's like, oh my goodness. So lucky I fixed that up, because those books that I had moved from that shelf down to the A shelf, I had marked them in the SKU system as A, but they actually had to be marked as E. Oh my goodness. You have to be so careful when you're doing inventory. It only takes one mistake like that. That's why you've got to double check. Once you actually move the inventory, you've got to go back, and you've got to then, once it's done, then you almost go back and you re-SKU it, but you can like count the books, so you can go, right, there's 40 books on that shelf. Does the inventory system say there's 40 books on that shelf? And if not, what did I do wrong? Okay, so I've made an error. Now, problem number 2. Let me show you what I got here. This entire stack of books is not listed. So it was over there on the double E4 shelf, and none of those are listed. None of them. I can't find them anywhere in the store. Right, so this is an absolute cluster. None of these are listed. Like, what? What the heck? This is only like one shelf. Oh my God. This is ridiculous. Okay, so everything on this trolley is not listed. Everything on this trolley is what I found. Okay, now everything on this original EE shelf has now been re-inventoried, and this shelf is now 01 to 5. And you can see that I've condensed it all, I've stacked it all in here, I've got a lot more books in here, and I've got an entire shelf and still a little bit room on 05. So I'm going to go get the rest of the bundles now that are on shelf A2, and I'm going to try and put them over here. Let's get these ones from down the bottom, because they can go on the other new bottom shelf. Okay, fingers crossed these are all here. Okay, these ones are all there. Thank goodness, thank goodness. So shelf O is completely re-SKU'd. So I'm just going to put some new stickers on this one, and I've also put like a little red star on the sticker, and that just is going to tell me that this shelf has been completely stock taped, and so that just makes sure I don't redo it. And these ones have already got the sticker, but I'm just going to put the red star. So this shelf E is also completely redone. So I've done 2 shelves, and I've managed to free up 1, 2, 3 entire shelves, and there's still some room on these 2 shelves. So just by condensing the shelves and, you know, taking off the books that were sitting on there that aren't listed, I've been able to free up all that space. So fantastic. I've made a little bit of space. Right, now the next problem I've got is I've made that shelf over there E1 to 5, and it will go E to 15, and then it goes F to 15. So this row is going to be F6 to F10. But currently it's got all the old e-books on it. So now these books are the next ones that I need to inventory, and I need to either leave them on here but change them from E2 to F7, or I kind of like moving them into a different shelf, because it just frees up this space and makes it very clear to me that I've done it correctly. I don't have to worry about doing the A, like that was the old A shelf, but because the new shelves, these ones here, these new shelves have become, the first row over there has become A. So there was nothing on that when I moved in. So I don't have to worry about doing another A shelf and cross-checking it off. But I do need to worry about doing this E shelf. Okay, it is 5:30 in the afternoon now, and my plan this morning was to stock take for a few hours, then do some packaging of orders, have lunch, and then do a whole lot of photography for the rest of the day. Well, that hasn't happened. I did get my orders out, guys, but I did get the orders out. I just had to keep going on that stock take. The more I did it, the more problems I was finding, and I was like, I just need to get this finished. This is of probably more urgency than taking photos. I do have a lot of photos to take, but I have got some photos there to do some listings next time I get a chance to sit down and list, which will probably be on the weekend. Oh my goodness, I'm just falling behind on everything at the moment. But I feel like the stock take is probably the most important thing when I'm seeing how many errors I'm actually finding. And I will say I haven't actually found too many orders that are just completely missing. I did like a whole row of shelves and there was only 7 items that were completely missing. I couldn't see them anywhere. So I just changed the quantity of those to 0. And if I find them along the way, they'll still be in my active listings, and I can just, when I'm doing a search, I'll be able to just update the quantity to 1 and put them onto a new SKU shelf. But the biggest problem I'm finding is just books and books and books that are unlisted. So many books are unlisted and now have to go back into the photography pile, and I'm kind of a little bit stressed about putting them straight back into the photography pile, just in case, like, what if they are on the shelf and I've been searching and they're just not coming up? Like, I kind of almost feel like all the books that I'm finding that are unlisted, I'd really like to set them aside. So if by chance I find something on the shelves and then I'm like, oh, I remember that book, it's there. But I'll show you how many I found and what I've done. So all the books on these carts, all 3 of these carts, none of these books were listed. So there's a mixture of bundles and individual books, but as you can see, that is quite a lot of books to just be sitting on shelves. That's taking up probably, 4 shelves just of unlisted books. Now, I am feeling really, really happy. I have done this entire row. Every single book on this shelf has been reskewed, sorted, everything's neat. The shelves are being condensed. I'm trying to keep the shelves to only 3 stacks without like these ones have got the little stacks in front, but these ones are not too bad because they're just kind of like fiction-sized books. But these big, heavy kind of cookbooks, coffee table books, and all the other types of books, hardcover books, I don't want to have like double stacks of that type of book anymore. I don't mind it on those ones. I don't want it on the big books. So this one I have done a little stack in the front, but even if I double stack them in the front, I'm only going to double stack them 2, not 3, and that way I can move them side to side and actually look. But look at all these free shelves I've filled up. So this is fantastic. That's going to help me going forward because I've got all these fresh shelves as I'm re-inventorying, as I'm doing the inventory now down this aisle. I've got shelves to simply move it over there and condense it. And hopefully at the end of doing it all, I'm going to end up with quite a few extra shelves because I've condensed it so much. So I did have a problem with this shelf. So I found some of the ones that were meant to be on D were down here on I. And I had already did have a little mental note. I got a notepad up there where I'd found that error earlier with when I was picking some orders. So I've gone back in and I've started on these 2 shelves. So this one's now completely empty. It's all the books have been moved and I'm almost finished this shelf. And then what else have I got? This shelf here, the R's, I've made this all bundles. So all of that has been reskewed, checked off. The only thing I've got to do is there's 2 piles here of individual books, which I've got to move over to the other side. And then earlier on you saw me, I was going down here and I did this whole shelf. Now tomorrow the maintenance man is actually coming back to finish the inside of my office. So all it needed was some new skirting board and stuff along the bottom. So he's coming back in to do that tomorrow. And once he's done that, I'll actually be able to utilize that little room there. And what I'm thinking is I might put some trestle tables up and all these books that I'm finding that are just totally unlisted, I think I might kind of put them in there for the time being until I finished all the inventory SKU. And then I'll go back and I'll be able to re-photograph any of those ones. But I'm just worried some of them might pop up and they're on other shelves and I'm doing a search and maybe the keywords are different than what I'm searching in. And sometimes you do actually type in the name of the book and it doesn't pop up, or you type in the name of the shelf and it doesn't pop up, but then you find it later on. So yeah, it's a little bit messy, but I'm kind of thinking rather than just add these into my massive photography pile, which I've already got a lot going on, I just feel like I'd like to keep those separate. So while I keep going with this stock take, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set up some tables once he's finished the maintenance in there and just set everything aside just until I've done it all. And then I can have another look at what's been left over and double check that none of that is meant to be listed. But I'm feeling pretty pleased at getting that whole row done. Like that was a lot of work, and I underestimated probably, actually I don't know if I underestimated, that's why I've been procrastinating on doing this task, because I know it's such a massive job. And I knew that I would want to get into the flow and have some chunk time to do it. Like just doing one shelf here and there, like it's okay, but I prefer to just hyper focus and get into the flow of doing certain tasks. And today was a day where I just had an entire day. So I thought I would split it up with the photos and the stock taking. Didn't happen. But now that I do have those extra shelves that are all around there, it will be easier to just kind of do one shelf and keep moving them and just doing little bits at a time, because now at least I've got that one whole row that is completely done, completely fresh. In fact, that whole area down there, all the new rows of shelves, A, B, C, D, everything on there is fine. The inventory is all new listings. Everything's perfect on those. And now that whole front row, perfect. I've still got a mammoth task in front of me, but I feel really happy that I've started it. Guys, if you haven't done a stock take on your store, this is your, This is your reminder. This is your reminder to start, do one. I haven't done a proper full stock take since I really started doing the books full time. There's books on my shelves from 2021. I have pulled a few of the bundles that I found that were from like 2021, 2022. They were terrible bundles that I had created. Just bundles that were of random authors, like 4 fantasy books, and they've got nothing in common with each other. And some of them were part of a series. And I was like, Mel, what were you doing? So I've actually just pulled those off totally. I might separate those books up and list them as individuals, but they're definitely not staying on the shelf as a bundle and taking up that space. So I didn't pull any of the individual books, but like I've just left them all on there. And then after the stock take is done, after I'm updated with the cages and after I'm updated with all the inventory and all the photos and up to date with all that kind of stuff, then probably halfway through the year, let's be real guys, this is not a small job. Probably come mid-year, that's when I'm going to start doing like big culls and trying to work out, do I pull some of this stock off and rebundle it? But I think I need to be through the cages before I start messing around with everything else, because there's just too much going on at the moment. Like I'm starting to feel like the virus is back in my store. And if you follow me for a while, I used to talk about the virus, which was the unlisted inventory that was overwhelming me. And I'm starting to feel like I'm in that position again. And I'm going to talk about that in an upcoming video with you, talking about the unlisted inventory and the overwhelming virus that I am developing here in the warehouse. Okay, I am absolutely buggered. 5:30. I have just not stopped all week. The 3 days at the book fair, then yesterday picking and packing, massive day, and today non-stopped. My shoulders are sore. I'm going to go home, have a bath, take an anti-inflammatory tablet. All that hunching over the computer today. Oh my goodness. Guys, here's your reminder. Start a stock take. If you haven't done one for a long time, start one. Once you've got it done, then you can keep going back shelf by shelf on a regular basis and just maintain it. But you've got to start it. If you need to do it, start it, please. One shelf, one tub, whatever you use for your inventory system, start. I can't tell you how important having a proper inventory system is in your business. Like even if you are a brand new seller, don't think that you don't need an inventory system. You need an inventory system from the moment you start your reselling business. I don't care if you've got 10 items. Even if you've only got 10 items, start a shelf system, start a tub system. You need to be able to find those items as your business grows and you get busier and busier and busier. Those items that you originally listed, you still need to be able to go back and find. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one. Bye.